We are illustrating to potential customers or existing customers, this is the threat landscape as we see it for your organization, what threats are specifically relevant to your organization, as well as a little bit of an understanding of this is the kind of coverage that you may get from the technologies that we think you're using. So the materials that we use to put together this report are everything that you're seeing on the screen effectively. So the industries that the organization is participating in, the geolocations where they're operating, the platforms that comprise their environment, as well as, if we're able to get a hold of it, what sort of endpoint technology they're using. So we're marrying those two things together, our understanding of the threat landscape as driven by threat intelligence, and then what sort of coverage can we assume a particular organization might have, and then of course, by extension, what gaps might they have based on these assessments of their technology. So we have an overview of the threat landscape. So again, this is sort of high level. These are the most important things that you need to be paying attention to. So we start off with techniques. And again, you can see the priority of this technique. The priority of the technique is derived from how often we see this technique emerge in relevant threat intelligence. And then the coverage, this is what we're getting from those MITRE evaluations. Now, from a value prop perspective, it's highly likely that unless the organization in question has a very robust threat intelligence team, they may not even be aware that some of these threat actors exist, let alone that these are threat actors that you should be paying attention to. And if the question arises, okay, well, how do you know that I should be paying attention to them? Again, everything in this report, the foundation is threat intelligence, real world intelligence, and actual campaigns that have actually happened in the past. So this is not speculative. This is all based on real, robust threat intelligence. Campaigns. So this is where we get into the actual distillation of threat intelligence. So what we do is when we generate these reports, we go back 6 months to look at 6 months of prior campaign data, and then that's what makes its way into the report, and that's the body of threat intelligence that shapes everything that you're going to see in here. So for each of these individual campaigns, you're going to get kind of a brief description of what the campaign entails, what are the specific attributes of the victimology that align with the threat profile. Doing this exercise takes an inordinate amount of time and is often, as a manual effort, is extremely labor intensive. It requires a lot of expertise in threat intelligence and generally detection engineering. And it's like most people who undergo this effort are doing it via spreadsheets. We can give you this analysis between elements of threat and the elements of your defense surface that are protecting against that threat. And we can also do it in an automated and continuous fashion. So it's effectively this level of insight on a continuous basis. So this is where we get into more significant depth regarding individual threat actors or top things that customers should be paying attention to. Here we're giving out, a full description of what the technique is, some high-level coverage, and then also individual assessment of discrete coverage categories. So my next step would be looking at those detection thresholds and making sure that we meet them, right? Report is making a recommendation about not only what particular threats I need to pay attention to, but also how responsive I need to be to those threats. So my first point of analysis would be, do we meet these benchmarks across each of these different techniques, right? And if we don't, then I need to understand, how do I get there, right? Because as a SOC manager, it's my responsibility to make sure not only that the detections are getting actioned and actioned appropriately, but also that we even have the right detections in the first place. And then I need to make sure that we're feeding those detections with the right visibility. Do we even have access to the right logging capabilities? Do my guys know how to action these detections, right? So as a SOC manager, that's where I would be looking. And then I would also be doing a historical, maybe initializing some threat hunts based on the kinds of threat actors or techniques or campaigns or anything like that that's been reported to me here.